So, good evening to everyone and good morning to some of us. So, we are on week 11, prayers and meditations by the Mother, and we have Feb 12, 1914 prayer with us today. So, if anyone, whoever feels ready, if one of you could please read out the prayer for all of us, and also if you want to begin with sharing, that's also most welcome. Or if you want to just read, please go ahead, unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, Monica, good evening.
Yes,
So,
yeah, yes, Shardaji.
I will just read the prayers.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. February 12th, 1914. When conscious with thy supreme consciousness, one considers all earthly circumstances, one sees their complete relativity and says, to do this thing or that, after all, that is not much of importance. Yet, a particular mode of action will be the best utilization of a certain faculty, a certain temperament. All actions, whatever they may be, even the most contradictory in appearance, can be an expression of thy law to the extent that they are infused with the consciousness of that law, which is not a law of practical application that can be translated into principles or rules in the ordinary human consciousness, but a law of attitude, of a constant and prevailing consciousness. Something that cannot be expressed in formulas but may be lived. But as soon as one falls back into the ordinary consciousness, nothing should be treated lightly and with indifference. The least circumstances, the smallest acts have a great importance and should be seriously considered. For we must try at every moment to do that which will make the identification of our consciousness with the eternal consciousness easy, and avoid carefully all that could be an obstacle to this identification. It is then that the rules of conduct, having as their foundation perfect personal disinterestedness, should find their full value. With peace in my heart, with light in my mind, the hope born of certitude in all my being, I greet thee, O Lord, divine master of eternal love. Thou art the reason of our existence and our goal.
Thank you, Shardaji. So, we can start sharing our reflections. Anyone who feels ready? Okay, so I assume no one wants to share at the moment, or I may be wrong. Anyone who wants to unmute, share something right now? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and if you get up, rise up with any reflections at any moment of time, please do share. So we'll just go through it one by one. Each line we'll take and we'll see what arises. When conscious with thy supreme consciousness, one considers all earthly circumstances, one sees their complete relativity and says, to do this thing or that, after all that, is not much of importance. But this is only mother is giving us a prerequisite, and the prerequisite, the premise is when conscious with thy supreme consciousness, which is in our ordinary consciousness, it's not our state, right? So most of us would agree that we are not there usually. We are not identified in most of the moments with the true consciousness, with the highest possible consciousness. So, very first thing also, we have to be very, very careful what mother says. When conscious with thy supreme consciousness, then one considers all earthly circumstances, one sees their complete relativity, that whether I am doing a jhadu or whether I am doing a talk, you know, it's all relative utilization, right? And there is nothing absolute in these utilizations. To do this thing or that after all that is not much of importance, but this is only for those of us, or in those moments when I'm conscious of my true consciousness. Yet a particular mode of action will be the best utilization of a certain faculty, a temperament. So mother says that according to our own swabhavas, each one has their own natural inclinations, natural abilities, and that's why it's good to dig out what is good in us, what is like what do I like, as mother says, find out what are your preferences, what do you like to do, what do you want to offer yourself in the world. So it's good to understand that, like a microscopic dissection of my own self, because then I can best use my temperament. So mother says that yet a particular mode of action will be the best utilization of a certain faculty, a certain temperament. So if I know that a person is good at, say, playing with sand, right? So it's better that I use his or her faculties in maybe learning pottery, right? Because that would be the best use of that faculty, that temperament. All actions, whatever they may be, even the most contradictory in appearance, can be an expression of thy law to the extent that they are infused with the consciousness of that law, which is not a law of practical application that can be translated into principles or rules in the ordinary human consciousness, but a law of attitude. Okay? So, a long sentence, not that usual with mother's words, a long sentence, but since it's complicated to put truth in words, so that's why we have to use long sentences so that we are not missing out on anything. So mother says that what appears to me here is, mother says that contradictory in appearance, yes, contradictory in appearance, to me it appears that it may appear that how can this be divine work, for example, right? How can killing be divine work, right? So it's very contradictory, right? And yet Shri Krishna in Gita, in Kurukshetra, what he was doing, he is asking Arjun to kill. So this is very contradictory. On one hand we are saying that divine is all pervasive, divine is nurture and life giver to all, and on the other hand here is the divine himself asking Arjun to kill his own kith and kin. So appearing very contradictory in appearance, again the task that is given to Arjun is contradictory, is it's killing, but according to his dharma, according to his whatever the role he is playing in this life, it's important that he makes the utilization of his particular inclination, natural inclination, and also for the purpose of dharma. So it may appear contradictory, it may not appear as divine work, since we have labels and images in our mind that if I am giving a talk, that is divine work, if I am killing in the battlefield, that is not divine work. So the limited mind that we have, it keeps on forming images, it categorizes, it boxes, yeah, and it also tries to categorize truth. But as we know, that truth cannot be categorized. So there can never be a label that this is divine work and this is not divine work. Chopping vegetables can be divine work. Even killing at times required is divine work. So Even though the work may be appearing contradictory in appearance, yet it is the attitude in which we do the work. Mother says the law of attitude. Now, what is the intention behind my work? Now, when Shri Ram is killing Ravana, his intention is not to harm Ravana. His intention is to help Ravana because Ravan is going too far in his arrogance. And for him himself, for Ravana himself, and for the people around Ravana, it's not right. It strays us away if we go too far in this direction. Too much evil, too much evil, too much selfishness, too much arrogance. So, although Rama is also killing, but it's a killing which is benefiting. Ultimately, he achieves liberation at the hands of Lord Rama himself. So, what is the attitude? Now, this I cannot use as a normal human being, and that is why ethics and morals are important for us. Because as a normal, regular, ordinary human being, I am not identified with supreme consciousness. So it is very important for me to see what is the company I'm choosing, what is the action I'm doing. I cannot say that I will engage in murder some action because divine has no categories, and even murder can be divine. I cannot say that. So I think the premise that mother starts with, that when conscious with thy supreme consciousness, that is very crux of the first paragraph. And I have to realize that I am not there most of the time. So for me, the second paragraph becomes very important. Hmm? And what is the second paragraph? Because I'm not in the highest possible intentions all the time. My attitude is not full of goodwill and having good intentions. And I don't even know what is it to have good intentions. What is it to have a wish for benefit for all? What do you mean by wishing benefit for all? I don't know in my ignorance. So the second paragraph becomes very important for me. What is the second paragraph? But as soon as one falls back into the ordinary consciousness, this is my truth, mostly. Again, in glimpses, we are all there. We all have, in essence, Buddha nature and enlightened nature and psychic being, but we are not identified with our psychic being. So, but as soon as one falls back into the ordinary consciousness, which is my usual state, nothing should be treated lightly. So this is my instruction. This is instruction for me. And with indifference. Each act that I'm doing, each action and I'm involved in, each word of speech, intention that I'm involved in, it matters to me. It matters. I cannot indulge in activities which bring down my consciousness, which pull me into lower consciousness, because I'm not yet ready for it. Things affect me. Outer situations affect me. If people insult me, that affects me. So that's why we talk about sangham sharanam gacchami, for example. Stay in company which uplifts you. Because why? Because a company or a friendship which is pulling me down into lower consciousness, that will affect me badly. It will stray me away from my true nature. That's why it is important that nothing should be treated with indifference. So where am I going, with who, what kind of friends I am hanging around with? Because I don't have that much power and peace in me that my peace and presence is going to affect anyone who is around me. Right now, I am myself in a very ordinary state of consciousness. I am trying to have a hang of myself. So it's very important in which company I keep myself, so that I gain stability and ground in that inner guidance. And slowly, then everything, like they say, that for a Buddha, a person who is hitting on one hand and a person who is, maybe doing prayers to him on the other hand, both the persons, for a Buddha, they are equivalent. But for me, they are not equivalent. For me, the person who is pulling my hand and beating me, it brings down my consciousness. So when I'm on this path of sadhana, it's important to see each and every fact of my life. not to be treated with indifference. The least circumstances, the smallest acts have a great importance and should be seriously considered. For we must try at every moment to do that which will make the identification of our consciousness with the eternal consciousness easy. So, this is where we have to focus. These first three lines are for me because here is where I am or will be for a long time. That whatever tasks I am engaged in, are they bringing me down in my consciousness? Are they uplifting me? And this only I will be able to tell in my honesty and sincerity. So I can be the judge. Okay, is this company benefiting me? Is talking to this person for 1 hour a day benefiting me? Is this making me remind of my true nature more? Am I more, is the mind more home with the body when I'm interacting with the person? Am I more silent, peaceful, and more inwardly guided? Then I should be continuing to interact with that person. And if that is not the case, then I should avoid even the outer friends, circumstances, relatives, if those not of genuine nature which can benefit me, they should be avoided in this state. Just like we avoid, like when we plant a sapling, first we avoid contact for a long time, we put around a fence so that the plant gains strength, so that even if the wild animals are roaming around, the plant is not damaged. And just this sapling kind of character, we stay with that character for a long long time. So I think this is very important for those of us who really want to be serious about our human life, that we don't have to waste it, the preciousness of it. We have to make use of it, wise use of it, so that it's not over in 1 day and we are wondering what just happened. Just a second. So I'll just go over it again because I think this is very, very important. Like a mantra, we can follow this. As soon as one falls back into the ordinary consciousness, which is my usual state, nothing should be treated lightly and with indifference. Like we can say, oh, how does it matter? I did it only for 5 minutes. So this indifference is not allowed. The least circumstances, the smallest acts. So, for example, let us take an example like, giving in to our desires, giving in to our addictions. Now, we can, if I'm living a very normal, ordinary human life, I can say, yeah, that's my life. I watch this for some time and then watch that for some time. And that's how I do it because I get so tired in the office and I have to relax myself. And this is the entertainment I give. So, some kind of addiction where I just want to forget myself and my worries. For an ordinary human life, this works. Right? But for a person on the path of yoga, for the person who wants to make something good of this human life, this is not, if I can use the word allowed, it's a proper use, I would say. Because I am walking on this path not only for myself, but also for all of us. So, why do I want to unite with my true consciousness? Because I know it is beneficial for me, and because I know it will be beneficial for all of us around me. So there is a responsibility on my shoulders also, but not to take it too seriously at the, paradoxically at the same time. So not to get, oh my God, I'm doing sadhana and no, I can't do this, no, I can't do that. Not like that, not to get too obsessed with it. So one has to keep very gentle balance, a lightness also, and yet a sincerity also. Because knowing that we can slip and we slip very, very easily. So we cannot be continuing to fulfill our desires and have too much of sense pleasure and enjoy, because that pulls the consciousness down to the physical consciousness, most material consciousness. While the way we are, it's important that we keep and maintain the psychic touch, the inward guidance, so that with the psychic touch, even the material gets transformed. Hmm? So it's I feel that where I am, it is very important not to indulge too much into addictions, desires, pleasures. And this cannot be done just like, one day you get up and you say that I would not do that. I feel that we get convinced slowly as we grow through our life experiences that this is not serving me. We have banged our head enough on the walls all around us, and we do feel a certain disenchantment that I make myself only suffer when I act in this way of trying to always find happiness through fulfilling my desires. I know it makes me suffer, so that's why I don't want to walk that path. So only then, we can maybe get convinced. So this is our ordinary state, for we must try at every moment to do that which will make the identification of our consciousness with the eternal consciousness easy. So choosing those tools, those methods, those times of the day, utilizing those times of the day, interacting with those people who uplift my consciousness, who show me the light, who show me the truth. So for us, it becomes very important. And avoid carefully all that could be an obstacle to this identification. So if interacting with a person pulls me down into a strong egoistic consciousness, at the moment I should be avoiding it, the way I am right now. Yeah, yeah. Yes, Neil. Just a second. It is then that the rules of conduct, having as their foundation perfect personal interestedness, should find their full value. So slowly, as I become convinced that this is the true path for me, this makes me inwardly stable, gives me inner ground, and makes me independent of outer circumstances slowly, as we grow. Then disinterestedness can also come in. Usually, we are always doing things by interest. Okay, this interests me, this does not interest me. But slowly, as we grow in our inner ground, I feel, as we gain ground in our true consciousness, then we realize that the true joy, the true peace can be really found within. And then one can be involved in whatever tasks of the world, but in a disinterested manner. Hmm? With peace in my heart, with light in my mind, the hope born of certitude in my all my being, I greet thee, O Lord, divine master of eternal love. Thou art the reason of our existence and our goal. So just like every time, Mother reminds us that why are we here? Why are we even talking about Mother's prayers and meditations? Why are we attending the session at all? And you are the purpose of our existence, and you are our goal. So Mother reminds again and again, with every prayer, Mother reminds, why are we born as a human being? Because if that we can place our center, make ourselves anchored in that realization again and again, because we forget, many a times this thing becomes important, that thing becomes important. But if only I can remind myself that the sole purpose of human consciousness, as Mother says, is to realize and unite with our true divine consciousness, to grow in consciousness, then the outer circumstances, which from time to time become so overwhelming, they won't have that much of importance. Then I would say, yes, I can go through this also. Oh, this is happening, very tough, but I can go through this also. Why? Because the only purpose of me being here is growth of consciousness. Okay, and if that is happening through whatever challenges I am facing, in my life, then give me more. One can ask the universe, okay, bring me more, because I know this is tough, but this is important for me. And I'm glad that difficulties are coming so that I can grow deeply in my true consciousness. And this really reminds me of one example that I want to share with all of you. This story of Deepa Ma, that how she was truly devastated, in grief, too much in grief, and with a very weak and frail body. When, if those of us who read the story fully, uh, of what she went through in her life, and then she says that the only power I had was the power of meditation. So if I wanted to save myself, I had to submerge myself in uniting with my true consciousness. Otherwise, there was no hope for me. Such was the suffering, the amount of suffering, overpowering suffering. So look at this paradox: overpowering suffering, intense pain, intense difficulties, and intensely you have a very intense and deep chance to unite with your consciousness, because there is no other solace one can find in this life, in this material existence. The only solace that is to be found, as Mother says again and again, repeatedly, that I find when I unite myself with you, when I plunge into your depths, I find true solace, true comfort. And that's what Deepa Ma also did. Then she because the pain and intensity was so much, like unbearable. Pema Chodron also says that if yeah, Preeti, I'll share with all of you. If you're interested, I'll share. So, Pema Chodron also says that the more intensely you are involved, say, for example, maybe you love someone deeply. Now, the way human love is, automatically brings up a certain amount of attachment. So, you become dependent on the person, you become habituated to the person. And the more pain it brings when the things change. And when it brings pain, then you are really struggling. Oh my God, where to find solace? Where do I find a bit of fresh breath of air? Because this is too unbearable. And there is no other way to go through that suffering, no other way that we can find solace but to realize who we truly are. Because when we realize who we truly are, we realize all of this existence, the material happenings, nothing but a dream and but a creation of our minds. So why they become so overpowering is because I make it overpowering through my own identification, through thoughts, feelings, bodily, perceptions. So it's a beautiful paradox which is very visible in many, many other stories also. Just like we know the story of Buddha, how he saw intense suffering and he had to find what is the solution, and he went in for the search. And just like that, if we undergo in our personal lives something very intense, something which breaks us apart, we have been making a person or a relationship our ground, and that ground is taken away from us, ripped apart, because it will be taken away sooner or later. So the sooner it is taken away, the good for us, because in the breaking of our shells is our own liberation, is the finding of who we truly are. So thou art the reason of our existence. If not for the unification with our true consciousness, it's a wasted human life. Again and again, masters have said, don't waste precious human life. And Mother says that even passions are preferable to tamasic inertia. So when we get too much comforted in our settled zones, and this is my family and my relationships, and you feel that, oh yeah, everything is okay, what is the need to meditate, what is the need to unite with my true consciousness, there things become too stagnant. So it's better that you fall in love with someone, for example, the way we are. It's better that you run after something, some ambition, some greed, something, so that you break, and so that in order to find solace, you will have to unite with your true consciousness. You'll have to find who you truly are. And there lies ultimate simplicity and joy. So I think I have really talked much at length. So I'll invite other people. If there are more reflections, please go over and share. Yeah, anyone? Anything you want to share? I'll share Deepa Ma's story later. I'll post it on WhatsApp group. So if at the moment there is nothing, I'll just go ahead because there's something I had shared towards the end. So there was something I was reading in 37 verses on the practice of a bodhisattva. And the verse one really resonated, and very simple words tells about the precious human condition. Now that I have this great ship, a precious human life, so hard to obtain, I must carry myself and others across the ocean of samsara. To that end, to listen, to reflect, and to meditate day and night without distraction is the practice of a bodhisattva. So, just for because at times it may appear like as if it's saying that world is an illusion and you know get out of this world and attain nirvana and don't be born again. I feel that it's saying that the cyclic existence of birth and death, which we are unconsciously tied to, because I'm unconscious of who I am truly. Hence, in greed, attachment, and anger, and all this wanting, I unconsciously take births again and again. So that is the ocean of samsara. It's not that I cannot take birth consciously, but the way we are is we are unconsciously in our expectations from the world, material world, that this will bring me happiness, that will bring me happiness. In that enchantment through the material world, we are bound to take birth again and again, as if we have no choice. So, like this, when we come again and again, and this is a birth which has to be we have to become conscious of. Samsara is the cyclic existence of coming and going, the birth and death. Yes, Sharda ji?
Yeah, Monica, can you
Yeah.
please elaborate a bit more on these two lines? Because, I couldn't follow. You were, mentioning so beautifully about the samsara.
Mhm.
So we are clinging on to our desires, and you are mentioning something I couldn't understand. Can you
Yeah,
please?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
thank you.
just read something and maybe
Yeah,
that makes it more clear.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So, just a second. So, the most fundamental ignorance uh, that is considered to be our cause of our suffering and bondage is the bondage and knowing myself as this body. Yeah, all of us have been granted with a body. uh, Mother also says that uh, disidentify from surface consciousness. Know yourself something different from the body. Now, how do we do that practically? So I can see, there is a seeing power in me. I can see thoughts coming and going. I can easily say that I am not my thoughts, right? It's very easy to say. I can see feelings come and go. So again, it is easy to say that I am not my feelings because feelings come and go. I don't come and go, right? And just like that, bodily sense perceptions, like I have a headache right now, but I don't have a headache later. I have a body right now, but I would not have a body all the time, right? So, this bodily identification with ourselves, that I am this body, is the fundamental cause of our ignorance. Ignorance is I am ignoring who I truly am because I am identifying with myself with the body. Now, all our relationships are based on the body. My family, my children, my friends, my kith and kin. So everything as we see in our life is rooted at the center, and the center is me as my body. So they say that as long as I know myself as this body, there is no uh, kind of, what do I say? There is no leaving of suffering for me. The suffering will continue. So the very important step they declare is that know that you are not the body. Now, in theory, it's easy to understand that I am not the body. In theory, maybe, but it's very hard in practice. Yeah? So that's why when pain is there in the body, it's a very good time to practice. That can I just, when the pain is there, when physical pain is there, not even emotional pain, when the physical pain is there, can I know myself, practice myself being awareness? I am the awareness of the pain. Yes, it hurts, but I am not all of it. Yes, it hurts, but I am not that only. So, but I cannot do this while I am in physical intense pain because I have not practiced earlier. So, this is the root cause of our ignorance, the uh, identification with the body. How do you practice that? Yes, I think that's the challenge. So, I'll read something from a book that I've been reading.
Yeah.
It's called The Heart of Compassion. Yeah, Jasmine, you want to share something?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I have an opportunity. I am in that physical pain, you can say, tired. So
yeah, yeah.
curious how I can use this right now. It's interesting.
Yes,
Just a
yes, yes.
reminder, when you're so tired, like your brain is not working either, really. But it's a good opportunity to practice yourself as awareness and experiment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
so I'll let you go ahead and read.
yeah.
So if you have anything to say or any
Yes,
advice right now,
yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Thank you. So I'll just read something from the commentary. Why do you feel attachment and aversion, and where do they come from? So attachment and aversion would be rag and dvesh, wanting what I like, not wanting what I don't like. So physical pain, as Jasmine was sharing, is something which I don't like, right? I want to run away from. Here is my chance to practice. That if I want to go beyond my likings and preferences, can I take this pain without any like and dislike? Now, how beautiful of a practice. Yes, there is physical pain, and the mind, by default pattern of the mind, it says, I don't want it, I don't want it. But here I am practicing for my own benefit and for others. So, what do I say? There is, I see the opinions of the mind coming, the judgment of the mind coming, I don't want it, I don't want it, but I don't give them much importance. So, Jasmine, you were sharing how to practice it. One of the things is to become conscious of the like and dislike and to not give it much weightage, to not give opinions and judgments much weightage. Yeah. So I'll go ahead.
Yeah. So,
Fundamentally,
Monica,
yes, 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 Jasmine. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead. You wanted to share?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, that's where I went to, like, not resisting it and just letting it be. So, that you can make peace with, but now, even though it's like a conventional thing, like you have things to do. So the bodily pain is not there, but how mind gets trapped into it because I have things to do now. Physically, I cannot do things. Work needs to be done, or some things needs to be taken care of. So is it that mind gets you trapped in that, or how do you make peace with that? And how do you let go or surrender? Like,
Mm.
um, um, do I make sense?
So you're saying that when the body is in physical discomfort, there are
Yeah,
things to be done which you cannot take care of.
yeah. It's like
And
bodily pain, I'm okay with. I'm
yeah,
not associating with that. But physically, now things need to be done.
yeah.
Even though normally you're able to surrender that, but I find that it's not the resistance or like or dislike to the bodily pain itself, but the
Mm.
fact that you cannot do things.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
truth is, it that's beyond my control too, right? I think it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
certain things you need to surrender there too.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's funny. it's like a part of me wanted like, oh, forever universe, divine God, give me a break. I actually said, my spiritual growth can take a pause. I need a break.
Mm, mm,
But it's funny, while even talking to you, I kind of feel more peaceful. Just, I think,
mm,
being aware of that fact. It's funny.
mm, mm,
Just when I talk to you about that, I
mm,
am
mm,
bothered and not able to let go of the fact that my things will not get done. But just being
mm.
aware of it
Beautiful,
brings a shift.
beautiful. Yes,
So
yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. On this, I'm reminded of a quote again I read again from Deepa Ma, and she was sharing that just be aware when happiness comes, just be aware, don't get involved in it. And when sadness comes, just be aware, don't get involved in it. I think that is just what you just shared, that just being aware of either discomfort, comfort, pain, no pain, able to control, not able to control, just this light of awareness, that itself is so shift causing in consciousness, that that guides, actually, that is our inner guide. Yeah. So you already, responded to your query yourself beautifully. Yeah, so I'll just continue because I think maybe we get something here. So I was reading about attachment and aversion, that he's saying that if we see that since I am associated, too identified with my body as myself, so those that help this body are my friends, I feel attached to. Those that harm this body, I feel they are my enemies. So attachment and aversion, right? So I'll just read this paragraph where he talks about this clinging basically. The way you are now, your mind is powerfully influenced by the clinging you have to friends, relatives, and anyone who brings you satisfaction. So this is the basic clinging that we have, and by your hostile feelings toward whoever seems to go against your wishes. So whoever is in disagreement with me, I feel a hostile or kind of a ill will towards, right? And towards all those who prevent you from acquiring wealth, comfort, pleasure, and whom you therefore regard with aversion as enemies. In your delusion, you do whatever you can to benefit yourself, that is the body, and those you like, and try to overcome and eliminate all those who you consider enemies, and with such aversion that you can hardly bear even to hear their names. Many a times, people who have not done good to us in our past, we can't listen their names without any ill will. The moment we listen to their names, hear their names, ill will suddenly comes up. So that's what he's sharing, that you are so identified with your bodies that whoever helps in that comfort and brings you satisfaction, you get clinging to, attached to, and whoever brings you dissatisfaction, you get aversive to. Over countless lifetimes, you have been dragged into samsara. So samsara, as Snehi was sharing, asking, is this continuous wheel of coming and going and coming and going without any choice, like you are unconsciously repeatedly being born. Now, as we understand it from Buddhism and Mother and Sri Aurobindo also, that's why Mother talks about getting disidentified from the desire soul, the clingy self, and getting identified with our true self. Because if in this life I do not make use of human birth, which is to disidentify myself from the desiring and clinging mind, then again I'll have no choice. I'll be born without any choice into this world of birth and death. Why? Not because I'm here for some, divine service or divine work, but because I have so many attachments from the past lives that they still want their completion. So this is the bondage that we have to work for in this. Why? That's why human birth has been called precious, I feel. that this is our chance, that I know that I cling, I know that I am desirous and I get attached to whoever brings me satisfaction, but this is my chance. And I don't want to repeat this again in the next birth. I will be taking a birth for mother's work, but not like a birth out of bondage that I have no choice. And Sri Aurobindo says that the vital envelope that we have, the vital being that is there, which is so sticky and desirous, it is so full of stickiness that even when the body disperses after death, the vital entities, they still keep on living. So, for example, there is a very interesting, almost spooky story that a woman who loved something, maybe I don't know where I really heard it, maybe with Alokda somewhere, that there was a lady who was always complaining about her coffee. So again, we see clinginess, right? So I'm always attached and talking about this coffee, oh my God, or repulsive about this coffee. So when she died, this lady, uh, it was shared in that anecdote that her vital envelope, this stickiness, somebody who was an occultist, he was still able to see that lady on that sofa complaining about her coffee. Now, this is what happens. So the mind and the consciousness is too tied, too glued to the physical form and appearance, that the body is gone, it's withered away, the mental sheath, vital envelope, it's all scattered away, but the vital entity is still remaining, so sticky. So this is our task, that stickiness has to be taken care of. And as Jasmine was sharing, that the moment you become aware that, oh, I did some action and it was arising out of my stickiness, that awareness itself is our guide. And that's what when we talk about mindful, being mindful. So be mindful that you are sticky. Be mindful that you're getting attached. That mindfulness itself leads us to the right path.
Yeah, Monica, all that thing that we've been discussing in the last few weeks
Mm,
about stickiness and using breath and mindfulness,
mm,
just in 2 minutes of this, like even though I was listening to the session and all, and like just when you talked about that stickiness, I think just being aware of
mm,
whatever it is.
mm,
I mean, this is beautiful experience because 5 minutes ago I was feeling completely different.
mm,
Even physically, it's shifted.
mm,
So you know how
mm.
I said instead of going into the story of whatever the reason for my physical pain or my work or what is, I went into feeling like in the body,
Mm,
then not resisting it, which showed me it's almost like I then felt the like and dislike and the
yeah.
resistance. Then I met my resistance.
Mm,
And then
mm,
after resistance, I was like, okay, अब body ठीक है, अब काम नहीं हो रहे तो पर वो क्या? Then I got aware of that, or you can see I met that feeling,
mm, mm, mm.
and then suddenly I think that awareness kind of it um, unties you. जैसे तुम्हारी वो stickiness जो clinginess के थोड़ी loosen up कर देती है. So
Yeah,
loosening.
exactly,
I think just
exactly.
step by step it got loosened,
Mm,
and then I think then you see that you are again clinging and identifying or whatever story way in words you can put it, but you actually see it in your experience, in your body you
mm,
feel it.
mm, mm,
So dire, I like
mm.
just being with that without the story, getting rid of the story and just sitting with, just like being with that feeling
In
while
the
you were
body,
talking in the
in the
background.
body,
Yeah, in
yes,
the body.
yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
now I am not feeling any pain. I'm not feeling anything. काम अभी भी उतना ही है.
Mm,
चीजें अभी भी उतनी है.
yeah.
So it's a beautiful. So this is to experience.
Mm, mm.
So this,
Beautiful.
I'm
Yeah,
just sharing this for other people too, if
yeah.
that helps. But it's just beautiful to see it.
Mm.
Or maybe I'll after 5 minutes I'll go back to it. But I know I can come back to this experience.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
How
So
beautiful. Yes.
it's more about state of how that thing was पहाड़ बना हुआ था.
Mm,
Like how mind makes a mountain out of everything.
mm.
काम तो काम तो फिर भी नहीं हुए, but I feel the difference.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
what is the reality? What you say, what's the ignorance, and then what's the reality?
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
funny. It's endless,
Beautiful. Yeah.
endless, you know. Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he says, over countless lifetimes, you have been dragged into samsara. So this is unconscious birth. I don't even know why I'm repeatedly taking birth, and I'm bound to it. Over countless lifetimes, you have been dragged into samsara, this vicious ocean of existence, and carried away by these strong currents of attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversion are the very cause of samsara, the very reason of our endless wandering in the cycle of existence. So, this is not something which is being talked about for the first time. Kabir, in countless dohas and songs, has said, that चालत चालत जुग भया कौन बतावेगा धाम जी. So he says that you have been coming again and again taking a birth for countless number of lives. How long will you continue to come? Now do the work which is required of you. चालत चालत जुग भया कौन बतावेगा धाम जी. Now who will tell what is your destination? When will you stop? When will you pause? And he's asking us to pause from our this continuous clinging, that is there, clinging to my opinions, my ideas. Now clinging can be to anything. Clinging can be to my begging bowl, clinging can to be my spiritual quest. Anything, the mind can cling to basically anything. Some clinging is helpful in some regard, just like mother is sharing, that desire is helper and desire is the bar. So a bit of desire in the right direction takes us so that we can transcend the desire. But how long will I continue to stick is the question. Because as long as I continue to stick, I continue to live as the desiring self, which is not my true self, which is not who we truly are, which is not my psychic personality. That's the reason. So we miss our own self. In lifetimes of existence, the tendencies and patterns are living out themselves, and I'm missing out on my own life. And then he says that, what do you mean by friends and enemies? When you look, yes,
Change.
Jasmine, you want to share, Jasmine?
Oh,
Okay.
no, sorry, it was by mistake. Sorry.
Okay. Consider carefully what you mean by friends and enemies. When you look into it, it is obvious that there are no such things as permanent, enduring friends or enduring enemies. Those you think of as friends have not always been so. Indeed, they may well have been your enemies in the past, or they could have been your enemies in the future. There is nothing certain about it. Why should you be so compulsively attached to particular people? So he's sharing, putting light on this, that, for example, if I'm attached to my parent or sibling or friends, certain friends, he's saying that the friends that you consider friends in this lifetime have been in your past lifetimes your enemies. So what is this clinging about? He's asking us to contemplate. And the enemies that you have in this lifetime, in next lifetime, they may be playing your friends. Roles may be changed. So what is this clinging about? What is this aversion about? Yeah. So Snehi is sharing that I'm scared to let go of the clinging as it gets discomforting. Absolutely. Now I can ask myself that I have the power to go through the discomfort also. Can I allow myself to go through the discomfort? So when the discomfort arises in my being, when I'm trying to let go, there is a discomfort arising in my being. How do I know? My chest contracts, or I feel butterflies in the tummy, or something in the body I feel. I lose touch with my breath. In that moment, can I not leave my side? Can I stay with that discomfort in the body? That yes, discomfort is there, but I'm not going to leave my side. And the more you stay with it, you see that the discomfort is also as fleeting as there are clouds in the sky. There is nothing solid about the discomfort. This is what mother, when she says that there is only you are the truth. So only awareness or consciousness is the truth. Comfort, discomfort, liking, disliking, nervousness in the body, headache in the body, everything is fleeting. Everything. There is no solidity in all of that appearance. So when you see scare, when you see discomfort, can you for once just allow yourself to be with the discomfort? This is what we were talking about, that not to run away from the discomfort because I don't like it, because that is the cause of clinging, attachment, the root cause of suffering. So wanting comfort, running away from discomfort. Why do I not want to let go? Oh, because it brings me discomfort. Okay, now that I am aware of it, can I allow myself to go through the discomfort? This is the challenge. And you see that you will be able to go through the discomfort, maybe with a couple of tears, maybe with a couple of shaky sensation in the knees, but you will be able to go through the discomfort. So this is what we mean by being our bestest friend, not leaving our side when things are shaky, because things do get shaky. We are all living from desire self most of the time. So things will get shaky when I will try to uproot myself from the desiring self. Liberation doesn't come easy, but I am not going anywhere. I am standing by my side. So allow, as Jasmine was sharing, in the body, go through that discomfort, stay with the breath, and allow yourself to completely, fully feel the discomfort, how it feels in the body. We can go through it. So it's just something like a withdrawal symptom that happens if I'm leaving cigarette, for example. The first time I don't have cigarette, my hands begin to tremble, right? I don't feel easy in the tummy. But if I want to now truly leave the addictions, and all of us have addictions to people, relationships, and thoughts and ideas, certain lifestyles we have addicted to. Now, if I want to leave my addictions, I will have to go through withdrawal symptoms. But I can do that. Yeah. So I think I had shared the main crux that I wanted to share, that what I consider friends and enemies, are they truly friends and enemies? Because they keep on changing. In every lifetime, the role changes. And according to, these verses, each one of us has been our parent in one or the other lifetime. So Preeti has been my mother, Shweta has been my mother, Jishnuchi, all of us have been mothers to each other in one of the lifetimes. So many lifetimes we have gone through. So then even our enemies, so-called enemies, who appear as difficult people, they have been our mothers too. How will we treat them if we know this? So when we realize, I feel that when I read this, it gives me a larger picture, and it helps me to let go of whatever I'm clinging to right now. So if I'm clinging to a friend right now, I realize that, oh, this friend has been my enemy in the past and could be my enemy in the future. Oh, this enemy can be my friend in the future. How does it matter? Why do I give so much importance to the fleeting phenomena? So one can actually laugh over our clinging and not give it that much of importance, and again bring focus back to the breath, back to the body, bring mind home, and enjoy a simple, basic, simple living, and not too much into heads and complicated stories, because we don't know, we will never be able to connect the dots of the stories. So leaving that aside and back to the simplicity of life, whatever is the task at hand, to complete that in the right attitude, as mother says, the law of right attitude. How can I offer myself today to everyone? Yeah. So I think I can stop here. Any last comments? Any last reflections?
Monica ji, Jishnu here.
Yes,
So
please. Yeah.
the mother's prayer and the passage that followed, what I understand and what I felt, that mother is here speaking that we should be constantly vigilant. We should be constantly vigilant to remember the goal or the aim before us, which in a way, which she said, remember and offer. In Buddhism, they are speaking mindfulness. Uh, in modern, I mean, Western Buddhism, they call mindfulness. The thing is how to have this constant remembrance. What is the Buddhist way they're saying? How to have this memory, or how to have this aim always shining in front of us.
How beautiful. Actually, again and again, Jishnuji, in our conversations and sessions, this comes up uh, on forgetfulness, that we forget.
Mm.
So I think this is very important, and the only uh, possible way has been recommended is to, as they say, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. So to take refuge in these three jewels, as they say, because we forget. So now that I'm conscious that I'm forgetful, now that I'm conscious that I'm ignorant, and I again and again stray away from the path, to take refuge in these three jewels, Buddham, Dhammam, and Sangham, right company, scriptures, good words, and our true nature or Guru's nature, whoever is the master. I think somehow, we just have to put more and more reminders for ourselves. Now that I know that I'm so forgetful. Or else, I think there is also a win-win situation that I see for myself here. That if not for my remembrance, suffering wakes me up. This I see, especially with myself, that that this laxity that we get used to when things are okay and not that painful, very soon pain comes, very soon some kind of suffering comes, and that has the power to wake me up. So I feel that, as mother says, divine certitude is certain, the divine victory is certain. This I feel that yes, divine victory is certain, because if I get laxed in my remembrance, sooner or later some suffering comes and I have to get up because it pains too much. So either I wait for the suffering to come, or I continue some basic remembrance.
So it reminds me that though I could not attend, recently you had a session, right? That awakening or waking up from slumber.
No, actually it starts tomorrow.
Oh, it starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's tomorrow. So
yeah.
because I could not follow exactly, so I remember that one story that when Girish Ghosh first met Ramakrishna Dev, he said, when he first understood who is Ramakrishna Dev, he said first, Lord, what will happen to me? And then Ramakrishna Dev said, see, if somebody is sleeping, genuinely sleeping, you can awaken that person from slumber. But what if you are pretending? So that, but what if you are pretending? Then who will awaken you from this slumber? And I feel that at times I pretend and pretend to be asleep. And that is what I was thinking, where I was reflecting as we were reading this mother's prayers and the following thing, that how to remain, how to keep that aim, as you said, that shining in front of us and have that remembrance.
So what do you mean by pretending to be sleep, Jishnuji?
Pretending is to be sleep. A mother said somewhere, then somebody asked mother that the difference between, I exactly forgot the question. The question was the difference between a mistake and something that you are doing deliberately. That is the meaning. So mother said mistake is what you don't know. You don't know that this is wrong and you are doing something. That is a mistake. That is an error. You think that this will give me pleasure, but you are doing something you don't know because you are ignorant. But you're doing something which you know is not right. That is, that's like pretending. That is pretending, which Ramakrishna Dev said, that you are knowingly doing something which you feel is not right. And you feel, or you try to feel that you're okay. That is like pretending. You are not sleeping. You are in pretending to be asleep. Basically, in Bengali, there is a very beautiful term. It's called Gyanpapi. Gyanpapi is when you know that what is happening is wrong, but you know the right thing, but you are not doing it. And there are two types of people, right? That when you know that what is not to be done, I mean, what is the right thing to be done, you don't know. Okay, you are. And there was also an anecdote or a story around that. That said that suppose you want to go, that question is about sincerity, that even you are making some mistakes. So they said, suppose you are going from Calcutta to Puri, Jagannath Dev, and you don't know the path. So what will happen? You will go somewhere, you will go to some wrong road, you will take up. But if you ask people, maybe 2-3 times you will be mistaken, but they will tell you where to go and ultimately you will reach. But if you are willingly taking a path which is away from that place, which is pretending or which is doing something knowing that it is not to be done or wrong, that is like you will never reach the destination. And that is what his mother is saying, or someone else is saying, that do not do anything against the core of your nature, which you know, which you have experienced. I think somewhere else mother said the true tragedy of our soul is to know that your task is to find out the soul and not to realize the psychic being. That is the true tragedy for us.
Yeah, yeah. Now I understand. I think here also it's almost, I feel, again, correct me if you don't agree with this. I feel that it's a fail safe mechanism that is there. Like maybe I can go a bit on this journey where I'm, as you said, I'm pretending to be asleep. But I think we cannot, this path is automatically fail safe path. We cannot go long on this path because sooner or later suffering will come, and it will be so intense that I will have to walk the path. I will have to listen to the call, because that's what I feel, that if I know the call is there and I'm yet not following it and pretending to be asleep, I cannot go long on this path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there, it appears to me where mother, in prayers and meditations, mother says, that I know that the divine victory is certain. It comes to me again and again that I know that I'm ignorant, and I'm so cleverly ignorant also, but you, all powerful one, it's because of you that all paths will be taken care of. So there is, I think, we can allow ourselves to go as wrong as we want to, but we will have to come back to our inner call sooner or later. Sooner or later. And as they say, that there is, in eternity, there are timeless, it doesn't matter. One lifetime is nothing in eternity. So if not in this lifetime, next one, next one, next one, next one. Divine is very patient.
And that is where mother said that say yoga has to be there because you compress. When Vivekananda said that you compress evolution in one life.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But for who wants to accelerate, they will have to do.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you. So anything else? Anyone? Any last comments? So I'll share Deepa Ma's story with all of us. I think it's very inspirational, the kind of suffering she went through, the very dilapidated condition she was in when she started meditating, and this very powerful thing that she shared, that it was only meditation that gave me power if I had to save myself, otherwise there's no chance. And then she is supposed to have many attained many even true siddhis, true realizations. Very, very simple modest person, not very intellectualized, sophisticated. Even her talks are in Bengali, and she did not know English, so some other person is translating most of the times. And she went and taught and mentored many Western contemporary teachers. So the power of simplicity in true realizations. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, joining, and
I think the
sharing.
Thank you,
last we
Monica.
spoke was for Tuesday and Friday, but
Sorry, was there a comment? Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.